Hello, and today on the table we have two HobbyZone Cubs. So I kind of want to do a kind of a compare and contrast and kind of talk about what are the differences between the two HobbyZone Cubs, because on paper you might say, aren't they the same thing, or which one should I go with? What's the difference between them? So I kind of wanted to get together and kind of put both of them here on the table and talk about it. So we'll start over here with this one first. This is the HobbyZone Sport Cub S2. It's been out for a number of years now. It is 1S powered. The model I have here is the ready-to-fly model. So it comes with the aircraft. It comes with a transmitter. It comes with a charger, and it comes with one battery. So the plane's, like I said, the plane's been out for a while. It's a very well-proven aircraft. A lot of people have learned to fly on these. It's a great aircraft. You can see from the size here, it's a little bit bigger than a typical ultra micro plane that is sold on the E-flite side. And because of course it's a foam constructed scale replica of the Cub Crafters Sport Cub. So that's this one here. It sells for $159.99, so about $160. Gets you everything you need to go fly this aircraft. This side over here is the brand new HobbyZone Micro X Cub 450. So this is a brand new airplane, just came out. As you can see, it is significantly smaller than the Sport Cub S2 if you put them here side by side. And to be honest, I didn't realize that the size difference was this great. I actually thought they were much closer in size. But when you get them both out of the box and you compare them, you realize how much smaller this aircraft is. Now this one here is made out of a very different type of foam than this one here. I'll get into that a little bit more in the video. But it's a different type of foam. It's 1S powered, so they have the same type of battery, but not necessarily the same battery. You do get the controller, the transmitter in the box. You get a spare prop. You get two batteries and the charger, versus this one here you only get one battery. And the prop that comes on the plane is the only prop you get. You don't get a spare. The price of this one is $99.99, different than the $159.99. So at a high level, that's kind of where we're at with both aircraft, right? $160, $100. Both ready to fly aircraft. Both come with the transmitter. Both come with foam aircraft. Both come with batteries and charger. You do get some additional extra pieces with this X Cub that you don't get with the HobbyZone Sport Cub S2. Which brings me kind of to like the next part of this is, well, which one should you go with? You know, if I was starting off in the hobby, what would I pick? What would I go with? What are the recommendations? What are the pluses and minuses? So we'll start back over here on the Sport Cub S2. I have a lot of flights on this one here. This particular one here is actually my nephew's. That he flies, but I have the exact same plane for many years and flew it. It was one of the ones I had early in my flying career, so I can definitely say from a trainer aspect, it's an outstanding airplane. It wasn't my first trainer. I think it was maybe like my second or third. I used it to fly in baseball fields, and a baseball diamond, soccer field, any of those type of areas are plenty enough space to fly an aircraft of this size. It's relatively slow, so you don't have to worry about it really getting away from you and losing the airplane. It is very lightweight. The type of foam that is used is extremely lightweight. This is definitely one of the more lightweight airplanes that I have flown. The problem with that weight also comes in the fact that it's very susceptible to blowing around in the wind. So calm days up to, I would say, 5 miles per hour max. It's probably where you want to fly this. Anything more than 5 miles per hour, you're going to have trouble, especially as a beginner, to get the airplane back towards you. So if the wind carries it away, you're going to have trouble bringing it back. You're going to add more throttle. It's just really going to go up vertically rather than come at you. But the calmer the winds, this airplane is outstanding. There is no complaints with that at all. But it is fragile, though. The foam, like I said, because of the very lightweight foam, it's also very fragile. You can see the tail pieces here are very, very thin material. The wings, I don't know if you can see through it like I can, but I can actually see the servos. I can see the sticker. I can see all that through the wing of the airplane. It is, it's remarkably thin. That light weight gives it some really nice flight characteristics. So if you're on a calm day, this airplane is an outstanding flying airplane. You get 3 modes of safe on both of these. Beginner, experience, and or intermediate is in the middle there. And on all 3 modes, this is an absolutely wonderful airplane to fly. Flight time, you're in that, I think, the 5 to 7 minute range, depending on how aggressive you are with flying. You do get the transmitter that comes with here, and it's actually got a good amount of weight to it. It feels actually pretty good for a out of the box transmitter. You got the panic button here and your 3 modes of safe. I think this also has the ability to change color of the light depending on the voltage of your battery. So that's kind of a nice feature too. So $159.99 for this guy here. Fantastic airplane, a little fragile. So on the other end of the spectrum, we have this little guy, $99.99, so $100. Very, very durable aircraft. So the foam on this is quite a bit different than this foam here. This thing is extremely dense foam. Although it's still pretty lightweight, I would say that this one's actually lighter, even though it's significantly larger. So this one's a little bit heavier. But that heaviness comes with the density of the foam, which makes this one incredibly durable. I have flown this one. I wouldn't say I flew it into the ground, but I definitely tested it out pretty significantly, and there's not an absolute mark on it. Flying this one into the ground the same manner most certainly would have resulted in some damage. The nice thing is that the way this one flies, your chances of having that happen are relatively low. This one, because of the extra weight, actually needs to be flown a little bit quicker. Now, that quicker flying also means that it seems to do a little bit better in wind. I flew it in wind that I think would have made me a little bit more nervous than this, and the airplane actually seemed to handle it quite well. But you do want to stay in that 0 to 5 mile per hour range. If it's over 5, it's a no-go really for both of these planes, especially if you're a beginner. But like I said, the durability of this airplane is absolutely incredible. So if you're really, durability is high on your list, where you're saying, you know what, I am probably going to crash a lot, and I am not all that familiar with how to repair foam airplanes, or I don't have a lot of skill with RC of any sort, then I think this is a fantastic way to go. The durability of it, the pop-off prop works awesome. So if you do come down hard in the grass, this little guy just pops off and you pop him right back on again. This one, you're not going to have that type of breakaway prop assembly on here. So from that aspect, there's a lot of pluses to this guy here. The durability, the lower price point, $160, $100. So you're going to save yourself quite a bit of money by going this route. But you're going to pay for it a little bit, I think, in flying or the flight experience. So this is where it gets very complicated to try to say which one of these would I recommend over the other. If you have the extra money, this is probably the aircraft that I would say to go with. But be mindful that you're going to spend a little bit more money and you're going to end up with something that's very fragile. But the flight experience, in my opinion, is better on this aircraft here. It flies a little bit slower, which means you don't have to be thinking so far ahead of the airplane. You can react a little bit slower, which is great for a beginner. The airplane doesn't really get away from you. You don't have to fly it very fast. It has a lot of really nice flying tendencies to it that make this a very good trainer. But like I said, you give up some durability for that really nice flying experience that you get out of this one. If you're a little bit more on the budget side of saying, I don't know if flying is really the hobby for me, I really want to try flying, I'm afraid of crashing, and I'm afraid of putting too much money into it, then I think this X Cub 450 is a fantastic way to go. It gets you into the air for $100. You get 2 batteries, you get the transmitter, and you get a spare prop and this breakaway prop. So from that standpoint, this is a great way to go. If I had younger kids or wanted to have a younger kid try one of these things out, I would say this is probably the one that I would go to. The durability of this airplane makes this one more of a winner, and the lower price point makes it a little bit less of an investment to get somebody to try. If you have someone that has a little bit more RC experience in general, not just flying, but is comfortable with how a vehicle reacts when it's coming at you versus away from you, and you're used to like how to use those type of controls, then I would steer more towards this direction here. So a better flying experience, more fragile, not as good of a flying experience, but massive improvement in durability. And when I say maybe not as good of a flying experience, I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, but it's just different. This to me flies a lot more like what I would expect the Cub to fly. It's slow, it's very docile, it kind of just floats around in the air. It flies like I would expect a Cub to fly. The X Cub 450 with its slightly higher weight needs a little bit more speed to fly, which means you just got to be thinking a little bit faster with the airplane so you don't get behind the airplane and lose it. In beginner and intermediate mode, this thing can be a lot of fun. I will say though, in beginner mode, just like this one too, you do need a pretty good sized area because both of these airplanes with safe are going to limit the bank. So let's say this is like beginner mode, right? You're going to need a lot of area to turn one of these aircraft around. Intermediate mode, you can fly more like this, and you can bring the airplane around a little bit quicker. Both of them take about the same flight area, and the reason is that this one you got to fly a little bit faster to overcome the extra weight. So you're going to need the same size flight area you're going to need for a bigger airplane that actually flies a little bit slower. So you would think with a plane of this size, you're like, oh man, I could fly that in my yard. You'd be surprised. It will eat up real estate really quick. So you don't want to fly that unless you got something about the size of a baseball diamond. So even though the plane is smaller, both of these are going to take about a similar area. So I plan for like a baseball field or a soccer field. It's really ideal. From a controller standpoint, I actually like the feel of this one just a little bit more than this one. But honestly, once they're in the air, it's really not too noticeable because you're really concentrating on flying the airplane. But I do like how that transmitter fits in my hands a little bit better. It just feels a little bit more like what I'm used to. But I also have a lot of years of flying experience and kind of know what I want my transmitter to feel like. So if you're just starting off in the hobby and you don't have that comparison, either one of these two is going to be just fine. From a value standpoint, the X Cub 450 with the extra prop and the 2 batteries and chargers actually a really good deal. You get about the same flight time out of both of these airplanes. So this one, unless you buy more batteries, you get 6-7 minutes of flight time, you're probably done for the night. You get double that with the X Cub 450. So both of these airplanes are really great ways to get started in the hobby. They're a little bit different in their approaches, and I think that is perfectly fine. It really depends on what your preference is as a new pilot getting into the hobby. Are you saying I would like a little bit better flight experience, I'm going to pay a little bit more money, and I know I'm going to have a little bit more of a fragile airplane that I'm just going to have to be more careful about, then I would say go this one here. If you're a little bit more on a budget, you don't know how much you want to put into the hobby yet, you're really looking for durability, like that's like one of the most important things. You want something that you're like saying, hey, I could give this to a son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, niece, nephew type thing where, like, yeah, they're probably gonna kind of smuck that up into the ground. This is definitely the way to go. You can't go wrong with either one. Of course, if you can spring it, to go up to the Aero Scout or even the Apprentice Stole would be my optimal direction to go if you are serious about getting into this hobby and you looking at flying and saying, this is something I'm going to do for the long term and I want to start off with some of the best product available, then I would probably move past these guys and move to the Apprentice Stole or even the Apprentice itself, which is one of the best trainers ever made, or even the Aero Scout, which is kind of in the middle there. You're going to have a little bit better flight experience, and you can also fly a lot more because they can handle wind that these little guys can't do. But that doesn't mean that you should just bypass these two either. These are both fantastic ways to get you into the hobby, and once you get in the hobby, literally the sky's the limit. So you can't really go wrong with either one of them. But I just wanted to bring it up that there are some, I guess, pluses and minuses, some differences between the two. And I think one of the big ones that you don't realize if you just looked at it on the website is how different these aircraft are in terms of their size. They're significantly different. If you walk into a hobby shop, you might notice the difference a little bit better. Here is our X Cub box, and here is our Sport Cub box. So it's easy to see it if you see the airplanes physically in the store, how much different these are. But if you just look at it on the website, you might be looking at these things going, wow, they're the exact same airplane, just different color. No, that's actually not the case at all. They're very different airplanes. They provide a little bit different of a flying experience, a little bit different levels of durability, a little bit different user experience overall. But either way, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these two. So, this is actually my nephew's plane, and he's been flying this thing for a number of years now, and you can see it looks absolutely great. So I have no problems with him saying, yeah, for his flight experience and for what he does, this is a fantastic way for him to fly. He's late teens, so he's a lot older. This was a good one for him. My other nephews that are younger, 10, 11, 12 or younger than that, who maybe don't have kind of that level of finesse and smoothness of the controls, this is exactly the plane that I'm going to give those guys, and I wouldn't even have to worry about letting them experience the joy of flying with this type of airplane. I wouldn't hand those kids this one yet. I would hand them this one. So if you guys got any questions on either the Sport Cub S2 or the new X Cub 450, leave them in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe because I have a few more videos coming on these products as well, including one more coming on the P51 Mustang, both the UMX model and the Micro Trainer model. So thanks again, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video.